I told my deeply religious father I'm moving in with my fiancé before marriage. He told me I'm spitting in God's face, and that he'll disown me. I love him more than anyone, but I'm done letting his faith dictate my future. Hey everyone, I really need some advice or perspective because I'm feeling stuck between two people I love deeply. 24 male, just got engaged to my fiancée, Victoria, 23 female, 2 weeks ago. We've been together for about 3.5 years, and I can honestly say she's the best thing that's ever happened to me. She's smart, kind, funny, and grounded. We share the same interests, hiking, gaming, cooking, and have grown together through every challenge life has thrown at us. She makes me want to be a better person, and when I asked her to marry me, it felt like the most natural thing in the world. My dad, 62 male, has also always been a huge part of my life. He's my role model in a lot of ways, hardworking, loyal, and deeply rooted in his faith. Growing up, he wasn't just my father, but also my best friend. He helped me through every big decision I've made, from school to work to relationships. He's deeply religious and bases a lot of his worldview on biblical teachings. His faith guides him in everything he does, including how he interacts with people. Sometimes that can be comforting, but other times it can make him rigid in how he expects people to behave. From the very start of my relationship with Victoria, my dad has wanted to have a close, talkative bond with her. Not just, "Hi, how are you?" at family dinners, but an ongoing relationship where they text occasionally, talk about life, and show mutual interest in each other's worlds. He's the kind of guy who believes strong family ties are built through constant communication, so he naturally wants that same energy from Victoria. Victoria, for her part, has always been polite and respectful toward him. She'll chat with him at family events, ask about his work or how he's been, and she's even reached out on her own a few times. But she's also a bit introverted and prefers to build connections more slowly and naturally. For her, relationships grow best when they're organic, not when they feel like an obligation. This is where the tension comes in. My dad has told me on multiple occasions that while he appreciates Victoria's efforts, he feels she doesn't do enough. He says she's polite but distant, or that her texts feel surface level. He thinks she should show more interest in his faith, his hobbies, or even just his daily life. He wants her to ask him questions, to call occasionally just to chat. When I try to explain that she's doing her best and that relationships can't be forced, he usually brushes it off. He'll say things like, "If she really cared, she'd make the effort," or "You can tell when someone's just being polite." It's frustrating because I know he means well. He wants to feel included and valued, but he doesn't realize he's creating pressure that's making Victoria less comfortable reaching out, not more. Victoria's talked to me about it several times. She told me she feels awkward because no matter what she does, it never seems like enough for him. She doesn't dislike my dad at all. In fact, she respects him a lot. But she feels like she's being judged on how well she performs this future daughter-in-law role rather than being accepted as herself. She wants their relationship to grow naturally, not through obligation or guilt. I've had multiple conversations with my dad about this. I've told him that she does like him and that not everyone expresses affection or interest the same way. I've tried to explain that she's not being distant. She's just not the overly chatty type. I've even pointed out the small ways she does try. Helping with family dinners, engaging in conversation when she's clearly tired, sending him small updates when something big happens in our lives. But no matter how I put it, he tends to go back to the same narrative that she doesn't seem interested enough. It's gotten to the point where I dread the topic coming up because it always ends with him sounding disappointed and me feeling like I'm defending my fiancé against someone who's supposed to love her too. The part that really worries me is what happens once we're married. I don't want my dad's expectations to drive a wedge between us or make Victoria feel unwelcome at family events. I also don't want to hurt my dad's feelings. He genuinely believes he's trying to build a family connection, not realizing that he's crossing into controlling territory. It's tricky because both of them are good people. My dad just wants to feel close to the person his son is marrying, and Victoria just wants to feel accepted without being forced into a mold. But I feel like I'm caught in the middle, constantly trying to translate between them, so no one ends up feeling hurt. This past Thursday, I spoke to my father and mother about a big change coming up in my life. Over the next few weeks, up until mid to late October, I'll be moving out of the place I currently share with my sister and moving in with my fiancée, Victoria. She has a close friend who, along with her husband, has offered us a living space in their home for a really affordable price. It's a temporary setup while we plan our wedding and save for our own place, which we hope to move into next year after we're married. It's a great opportunity for both of us. The location is closer to Victoria's job, and it's in an area with better employment options for me, meaning higher pay and more stability for our future together. I was really proud to share the news because it felt like the next logical step in our relationship. I'm at a point in my life where I'm ready to start building something independent, something that's ours. Unfortunately, the conversation didn't go the way I hoped. My mom immediately supported the idea. She said that I'm an adult, that I've proven I'm responsible, and that it's completely natural to want to move forward with the person I plan to marry. My dad, on the other hand, reacted the complete opposite way. At first, he started listing off practical reasons why he thought it was a bad idea. He said I'd be too far from home, even though it's only about a 40-minute drive. That didn't make sense to me because I went to college in the same area and he never had an issue with it then. When I pointed that out, he shifted gears. Suddenly, he was worried about me abandoning my sister and leaving her with all the bills for the house we currently share. For context, my sister, 21F, and I live in a mobile home that my parents purchased. All we pay are the lot fees, about $400 plus utilities, which is pretty manageable. My sister's had her ups and downs financially, but lately she's been doing much better. She recently got a new job that pays significantly more than before, and she's been budgeting really well. Before I even brought this up to my parents, I sat down and talked to her about my plans. She told me she completely supports the move and that she'll figure out the finances on her own. I reassured her that I'll still help if she ever falls on hard times again, but she made it clear that she doesn't want to hold me back from moving forward in my life. So when my dad accused me of leaving her behind, I explained all of that, how I'd already discussed everything with her, how she's on board, and how this isn't me walking away from my responsibilities. I thought that would ease his concerns. It didn't. That's when the real issue surfaced. His tone changed from concern to anger, and he started talking about religion. He told me that living together before marriage is sinful and goes against God's word. He said that as a Christian man, he couldn't support a decision that spits in the face of God's teachings. Now, I was raised Christian, and while my faith looks different from my father's, I still consider myself spiritual. I've spent a lot of time reflecting on what faith and commitment mean to me, and I don't believe that moving in together before marriage automatically makes us immoral or unfaithful. To me, it's about intention, about building a foundation for a healthy marriage, not living recklessly or without purpose. I tried to explain that to him. I told him there's no specific Bible verse that explicitly forbids couples from living together, but rather verses that encourage purity of heart, faithfulness, and connection with God. I told him that Victoria and I are entering this next phase with good intentions, to grow closer, to learn how to coexist, and to prepare for marriage in a meaningful way. But he didn't want to hear it. The more I tried to reason with him, the angrier he got. He accused me of cherry-picking scripture and trying to justify sin. The conversation escalated quickly, and before I knew it, we were both raising our voices. My mom tried to step in and calm things down, but it was too far gone. I could feel that nothing I said would make a difference, so I decided to leave before it got uglier. Over the past few days, we've had a few short phone calls, but each one has been tense and uncomfortable. I kept trying to reach some kind of middle ground, to reassure him that I still value my faith, that I'm not turning my back on my family or my upbringing. But last night, it all came to a head. He told me, word for word, that he cannot support someone who blatantly goes against God's teachings. Then he said if I go through with moving in with Victoria, he will never speak to me or Victoria ever again. Hearing that felt like a punch to the chest. I've always looked up to my dad. He's been my role model, my moral compass, the person I go to for advice. I never imagined he'd disown me over something like this, especially when I truly believe I'm making a mature, responsible decision. I told him I loved him, that I hoped he'd change his mind someday, but I can't let his interpretation of faith dictate my life or my relationship. He hung up without saying goodbye. Victoria has been incredibly supportive through all of this. She told me she doesn't want to come between my family and me, but she also said she's proud of me for standing my ground. My mom has quietly reached out to say she loves me and hopes my dad cools off soon. My sister texted me last night just to say she's in my corner no matter what. That meant a lot. My mother, thankfully, has continued to support me through all of this, even if she has her own set of concerns. When I first brought up the move to her and my dad, she told me right away that she understood where I was coming from, that I'm an adult, and it's normal to want to take the next step in my relationship and in life. Her only real worry wasn't about morality or religion like my dad's, but about money. She pointed out that moving into an apartment, even one with low rent, means taking on more expenses than I have now living in the mobile home with my sister. I told her I appreciated her honesty and that I'd already thought long and hard about the financial side of things. My job right now pays well, and I've been smart with my money. I also told her that in the area Victoria and I are moving to, there are even better opportunities, a chance for me to get a solid pay upgrade and really start building something for our future. Victoria has been nothing but understanding throughout all of this. She told me she never wants to push me into making a choice that could hurt my relationship with my family. She's been careful not to make this about her or my dad, but rather about us and our future. She keeps reminding me that we're doing this for the right reasons, to prepare for marriage, to learn how to live and communicate together before we tie the knot. She said it's completely normal for me, at 24, to start standing on my own 2 feet and making my own decisions. And she's right. But still, the weight of everything has been unbearable. I feel crushed, completely and utterly crushed. Since that conversation with my dad, I've had multiple breakdowns. It's not even about the argument itself anymore. It's about the realization that I might actually lose my father over this. I've cried more in the past few days than I have in years. I keep replaying that last phone call in my head, his voice sharp and unwavering when he said he cannot support someone who goes against God's teachings. That phrase keeps echoing. I know how stubborn he can be, and I'm terrified that he means every word. The idea of him not being at the wedding is almost unbearable. I've pictured that day so many times in my head. My dad sitting in the front row with my mom, proud and smiling, maybe tearing up a little when he sees me waiting at the altar. I can't imagine looking out into that crowd and not seeing him there. It would break me in a way I don't even know how to describe. At the same time, though, I feel like I can't back down. I've spent my entire life trying to live up to his expectations, to follow his moral compass and not disappoint him. But I'm 24 now. I have my own values, my own path, my own understanding of what it means to live a good and faithful life. I'm not out here living recklessly or disrespecting anyone. I'm simply choosing a future that feels right to me. Moving in with Victoria isn't an act of rebellion. It's an act of commitment. It's me saying, this is the woman I want to spend my life with, and I want to start building that life now. It's hard not to feel guilty, though. I've read so many stories online about people cutting off toxic parents, walking away from relationships that only bring pain, and while I completely respect those who have had to do it, it still feels so foreign to me. The thought of cutting off my father feels unthinkable.
I don't want that.
I don't want to hate him, resent him, or lose him. I just want him to see that I'm not doing this against him. I'm doing it for me. What I'm struggling with now is how to talk to him, or if I even should. How do I tell him that disagreeing with him doesn't mean I don't respect him? How do I show him that I'm still the same son who loves and admires him, but that I also need to make my own choices? I want to find a way to say, Dad, I understand your beliefs, but I'm becoming my own man, and this is what that looks like. Victoria keeps reminding me that love and faith aren't supposed to come with ultimatums. She says that if my dad truly loves me, he'll come around in time, maybe not right away, maybe not easily, but eventually. I want to believe that. I want to believe the man who taught me compassion and forgiveness will one day forgive me for this too. I don't know what will happen next, but I know this much. I can't let fear dictate the rest of my life. I love my dad more than I can put into words, but I also love Victoria, and I believe in what we're building together. I just hope someday he'll see that this decision wasn't made out of rebellion, but out of faith in our future, and out of the lessons he taught me about standing firm in what I believe is right. Now, my question to you all is, am I really doing the right thing? Will he ever forgive me cause he is super religious? What should I am actually supposed to do? I know I am moving forward with Victoria by moving her in with me, my mom and my sister being fine with it, but why my dad is being like that? Shouldn't he support his son with his life decisions? What would be your call, guys, if you were in this situation? I truly hope no one gets into a situation like this.